University-based research shows that 90% of people at the end of their lives see the spirits of deceased loved ones in pets. 90%, Maria. We think grandma is hallucinating because she's on morphine from the hospice nurse. No, grandma's actually seeing her deceased mother, maybe who's been dead for 40 years.
Welcome to The Reluctant Medium, where we cover the gamut of out there conversations. With an open mind and a curious heart, we want to talk about it all, from psychic phenomena and energy medicine to beings from other star systems and out-of-body experiences. You'll find a great balance between grounded science-backed topics and others that science hasn't quite caught up to yet. I'm your host, Dr. Maria Rothenburger, a psychotherapist by trade and a reluctant spirit baby communicator. And hey, even though I'm a medium, I'm not buying everything folks are selling. I just have a voracious appetite to know more about what I call the world of the weird. Join us on your favorite podcast platform or watch on YouTube at The Reluctant Medium. I'll see you there. Hey, welcome everybody back to the Reluctant Medium podcast. I'm Dr. Maria Rothenburger, your host for the podcast. And we have a little bit of a celebrity here today.
Hardly.
Yes, for sure. As I said, when her team reached out to me, I'm like, immediate yes, done. This is Julie Ryan here. Many hats, but you may have heard her on her podcast, also Ask Julie Ryan. And I am so delighted. Welcome to the show today, Julie.
You are so cute. Thank you for that sweet introduction, please. That is just so not true, but I am honored. Thank you so much.
Actually, it is. Anyway, so happy to have you here. I am wanting to dive right in. Generally, I ask folks about their experience coming into this sort of world of the woo, but I really want to dive right in and point people to your website and things to learn more about you. But you're like businesswoman, medium, medical intuitive, all the things. Yes? Anything you would add to that? Mom?
I'm a businesswoman and an inventor of surgical devices sold throughout the world. I have founded 9 companies in 5 industries. And so I say I'm a businesswoman who learned how to do woo-woo, and I'm a buffet of psychicness.
Ah, yes. Fantastic. The buffet. Whatever
The
you...
buffet. Once you connect with spirit, you can do it all. You know, they got it all
True.
siloed. You got the mediums and the pet psychics and the medical people. And it's like...
Yeah.
It's like the different specialties in medicine. It's all a body. You know, you got specialists. But what I've found is once you connect with spirit, you can do it all. And that's what I teach people how to do as well.
Yes. That is wonderful. And I've heard that many times that, and I subscribe to the same thing, that folks can learn. It's a skill, right? Folks can learn this in the same way that you can go to medical school or whatever. So I am curious today, though. This is October 2025. We're moving into spooky season, as I said before we started recording. And I am so curious about one of the things that you talk about among the hundreds is about the death and dying process, which I think matches this time, this season of the letting go, the death of things and inviting in new things, a la Samhain, the Celtic tradition. So I'm curious about this. You have, let me just make sure I get this wording correctly. Like what really happens when we die? You have this way of teaching this called the 12 phases of transition.
Correct.
I am so darn curious about this.
Yeah.
So, man, I'm just going to I'm done and allow you to take the floor. What is this?
Oh, well, thanks, Maria. There's so much information out there about the afterlife and near-death experiences and how to grieve, but not a lot of information about what happens as we're dying. And that's what everybody's afraid of because we've seen all the movies and read the tales. You know, it's been through in literature since forever. And the ancients talked about this. You got Plato's Republic and Shakespeare's King Lear, and they're talking about ghosts and spirits and going to heaven or going to hell and all that jazz. First and most importantly, all spirits go to heaven. Everybody goes to heaven. There was a movie out in the 1980s called All Dogs Go to Heaven. Well, all people go to heaven as well. I don't care what every culture, every religion says. It's all, everybody goes to heaven. So that's number one. Number two, when my mother was dying in 2002, it was the first time I'd ever been around anybody at the end of their lives. I was in my 40s, and I was like the first time I'd been around a dying person. And I had started studying woo-woo. I am not a psychic that had dead people chasing her as a child, or if I did, I wouldn't have known what to do with that. I learned how to do all this stuff, and that's what I teach. And so with my mother, I felt like the Lady of Justice statue. On one side, my heart was breaking because she was dying unexpectedly. And on the other side, I had been studying woo woo there then for probably maybe about 10 years. And I was seeing all this spiritual stuff going on. And so it helped balance it. And that's where I came up with the 12 phases of transition. And I talk about it in my book, Angelic Attendants, what really happens in this life as we transition into the next life. And it even has diagrams, which I'll go through the 12 phases here in a second. I'm trying to find a diagram in the book. Here, there. And so anybody that wants a free copy, see, that's the diagrams, just go to my website, askjulieryan.com. You'll see a link there, and we'll send you a free digital and audio book. Because everybody's going to have a loved one die, and we're all going to be that shape ourselves. And that's really what's the most disconcerting is we don't know what's happening to our loved one at the end of their lives. And in the back of our minds, we're thinking, oh, I'm going to be there myself one day. So I give away thousands of these books because I think this information is so important. Here's what happens. The body is what we know of, and then we all have a spirit. Spirit, soul, I call it the same thing. I use spirit because soul sounds religious to me. Spirit feels more generic. So the body is inside the spirit. Now, that's not what I was taught in 12 years of Catholic schools. I was taught the spirit or the soul is someplace in the upper chest area, like the sternum. No, the body's the main part of, or the spirit is the main part of us. The body's inside the spirit. If you look at the old masters' paintings of religious figures in particular, like Jesus or Buddha or whoever, Moses, oftentimes they're depicted with a halo around their head or around their whole body. That's their energy field. It's their spirit. It's their aura. It's all the same thing. We think, ooh, that person's holy because they got a halo. Guess what? We're all holy. We all have halos. So that's number one. As somebody's dying, the spirit is starting to separate from the body. And as I perceive it, Maria, it comes out through the top of the head. And it looks like a bubble that's held on to the top. It looks like a speech bubble in a cartoon caption, the character's thoughts or words. And then there are different phenomena that happen during the 12 phases. So that would be phase one. Phase two, the parent spirits that are closest to the dying person arrive. Now, my mother's deceased, so when I'm dying, my mother will be the first to arrive. She runs the show from the spirit world. It's always the maternal spirit closest to the dying person. That surprised daylights out of me. I thought, oh, God's got some dying department in heaven, and he dispatches an angel to go take care of everything and do whatever's necessary to help the person come on to heaven. That is not what I perceive in tens of thousands of times of seeing this. The maternal spirit. If my mother was still alive, it would be my maternal grandmother. If she was still alive, it would be her mother. It's always on the maternal line. And then the paternal spirit. My dad's deceased. My dad will be there. If he was still alive, it would be my maternal grandfather. Again, it's always on the maternal line, which is interesting.
Fascinating.
I know. And we think as mothers, we're done raising our kids once they're grown. Well, that's not true. And we're still helping them from the grave. And the mother's spirit brings in the angels, brings in the other deceased loved ones' spirits, brings in pet spirits. Mm-hmm. University-based research shows that 90% of people at the end of their lives see the spirits of deceased loved ones and pets. 90%, Maria. We think grandma is hallucinating because she's on morphine from the hospice nurse. No, grandma's actually seeing her deceased mother, maybe who's been dead for 40 years,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she can communicate with her. So, don't you love it when
I
science
s
catches up with woo-woo?
Yes, finally.
I know. I love it. I love it. So that's phase 2. The parents come in. Phase 3, the angels come in.
Mm.
I'm a Catholic schoolgirl, right? Angels look like I was taught they look. Big wings, white gown, bare feet, rope belt. Is
Yeah.
that what angels really look like? That's how they appear to me because I was taught that they look like the statues in the paintings.
Yeah.
You know, well, somebody growing up in an indigenous culture in the middle of the Amazon may see angel energy as just a blob of purple fog.
Mm.
Spirit's always going to show up in a way that we can recognize and figure out who they are.
That just gave me chills because that's how I see a lot of angels. They're just a fog of color,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
color they are.
And you didn't even grow up in the Amazon, in the jungle.
I did not, nor Catholic, so
So, but great example of how spirit's gonna appear to us in a way that we're gonna recognize who that
wow.
spirit is. So there's that. As it goes through, the angels then form a circle with the parents anchoring. Let's say our dying person is in a bed, just for conversation's sake. The angels form a circle with the parents anchoring at the patient's feet.
Mm.
All right. And then as the person gets closer to death, that circle opens up into a horseshoe and eventually a straight line across the foot of the bed. And the angels act as, I call them angelic crowd control,
What?
because there's so many spirits that arrive. There's tens of thousands of them. They look like dots on the horizon to me. And the fun thing about the spirits that come, I call them the Welcome to Heaven Committee. The fun thing about them, Maria, is that they're dressed in period attire.
Whoa.
You got Renaissance looking people, you got cave people, you got 1960s miniskirts, go-go boots people. It's just so much fun to see.
What a
And
party.
what a party, exactly. And I call them, as I mentioned, the Welcome to Heaven Committee. And it's comprised of not only our loved ones from this lifetime, but also from all of our lifetimes, all of our past
Mm.
lifetimes, which is they show up. About phase 5-ish, there are pet spirits that show up. Every pet that we've ever had, and I'll describe it to the family, and my graduates can do the same thing, and I'll say, "Okay, there's a collie, and there's" it's really fun when there are farm animals because 'cause
No.
they'll say, "There's horses, and there are chicks and ducks and pigs and cows," and I'll describe what they look like, and they'll say, "Oh, yeah, that was her horse Molly, and that was her cow Bessie," and whatever, and it gives the family so much comfort because we're seeing their deceased loved ones, so they know that their mom or their grandmother or whomever is surrounded by spirits of deceased loved ones. Then when we start talking about the pets, that really gets to them. Now, again, I'm seeing all this stuff with my own mother, but there were dogs that we had when I was a little kid that had been dead for decades, and their spirits were in the room. I told one of my childhood friends, who's still one of my best friends, who's a lawyer, and I told her about the dogs. We lived 2 doors apart, so she knew all of our dogs, and, I knew her family's dogs. And I said, "Frosty, our white German Shepherd is here, and Rummy, our chow dog is here." And Patty told her mom, my friend Patty, she goes, "Julie wouldn't lie about that. Why would she make that up?" Which is true. Surprised me as much as it did her to hear it. And just a couple of other interesting nuances. Phase 6-ish, there are 2 additional angels that show up, and they're on either side of the spirit bubble. They position themselves. When I saw this with my mom, I thought, this is gonna be interesting." I have no idea what they're gonna do, but I know that they're gonna be part of the transition process. About phase 9, their wings start to move. Between phase 9 and phase 10, their wings start to move. And it reminded me of a giant owl, Maria. Slow movement, rhythmic, silent. You can almost feel the drag that those wings are creating.
Mm.
And what I noticed with my mom was the movement of the angel's wings were forming a vortex above her head.
Wow.
And I could see it, I could feel it, I could hear it. And it had this really strong upward pull. And it reminded me of being in the car wash at the end when they turn the dryer on and they're sucking all the water off your car.
Oh, yeah.
We've all experienced that. So when I was writing Angelic Attendants, I thought, I was led by spirit to research. I put in the search engine owl wings vortex. Well, come to find out, there's this phenomenon called the wingtip vortex. That's an aeronautical engineering thing. And if you Google wingtip vortex, you will get tens of thousands of articles, pictures, research. Every pilot knows about this because what happens with everything that flies, whether it be a jet or a plane or a bird or a bug, the way that the air goes over and under the wings forms a vortex which causes lift.
Okay.
And I thought, holy Moses, I'm watching these angels. I can see it. I can feel like I can hear this vortex being created. It's got an upward suction in it. And this is a spiritual thing that's affecting the physical thing. And there's a bunch of aeronautical engineering drawings about it, about how it causes lift. Again, I love it when science catches up with woo woo.
Mhm.
There was that. That was interesting. So my mom's spirit went through the vortex and was escorted to heaven by the angels on either side of the spirit bubble. I was going to call the book Angelic Escorts. And my son, Jonathan, said, Mom, if you do that when somebody does an internet search, they're going to think it's a call girl service.
That's exactly where I went to.
I said, good point. So I had to come up with something else. So it's angelic attendants, like attendants at a wedding, your bridesmaids and all of
Yep.
that. So I thought that was really helpful from my child, man child. Right. A couple of other points here. Everybody goes to heaven. Heaven looks like this big yellowish, whitish plasma wall. We go through it. There's no trace of entering it. We can come back out. Like if I'm escorting somebody to heaven, I come back out. There's no trace. Reminds me of just this big, huge plasma wall. I've never seen St. Peter at the pearly gates with a clipboard going, okay, you're allowed in. Now you got to go burn for eternity. Doesn't happen. So there's that. Another interesting point about the 12 phases. When I attended my mother's funeral, and I'd been to a bunch of Catholic funerals by the time I was in my mid-40s, and I'd heard a prayer said at the end of every Catholic funeral, Roman Catholic funeral, called In Paradisum. And translated from Latin, it's into paradise. And it talks about how your loved one's in, and the angels will greet you and lead you into paradise. Now, I'd heard that a bunch of times. I really heard it at my mom's funeral. And I thought, oh my word, I just saw that happen. I watched the angels and my mom's loved ones greet her and lead her into paradise. So again, I go to the internet and I thought, I wonder where that prayer originated. And what I learned, Maria, was it began as a 5th century Gregorian chant. And I thought, well, maybe it took till the 5th century till somebody was well educated enough that they could read and write. And back then, some of the most learned people were men living in monasteries and synagogues. They were the scribes. And perhaps since the beginning of time, everybody's been able to see these 12 phases, what I call the 12 phases. And maybe it just took till the 5th century till somebody wrote it down. And so if somebody that's listening or watching has a loved one at the end of their lives, get my book, go on my website, askjulieryan.com, but also on my website, if you go to the 12 phases tab, there's a chart that has illustrations of each phase. Download that on your phone. It's free. And then you just ask, what phase is grandma in? And you'll hear a number and then refer to the chart. And you'll get a visual of how the angels and the loved ones are positioned around them. It can also be really helpful if people are taking time off work and they're traveling to come see your loved one before they pass. It's really helpful if you're seeing, okay, grandma's like on phase 6, 7, 8 in fairly rapid time frame. We need to bring the family in for those who want to say goodbye before she passes.
Whoa.
who wants to be there. It's really helpful.
Super practical. Do you feel the veil thinning? Samhain is coming, and with it, the perfect time to honor our ancestors and connect with spirit. Join me, the Reluctant Medium, for a special Samhain circle on October 31st. Together, we'll step into sacred space, call in our guides, conduct some card readings and some connection through mediumship, and overall honor those who've walked before us. Whether you're seeking connection, healing, or simply a deeper sense of belonging during this powerful time, this circle is for you. It's more than just a gathering. It's an energetic portal into wisdom, love, and spirit connection. Spots are limited, so I can keep it intimate, so be sure to claim your place early. Go to drmariarothenberger.com/Samhain. That's SAMHAIN. Come join us, step through the veil, find your connection, and come home to spirit. I'll see you there.
So the other thing is there are many, many churches of all denominations. My Catholic church gives one of these to every family that comes in to plan a funeral.
Awesome.
Many synagogues, many hospice organizations. Because again, there isn't much information out there about what happens when we're dying. Now, may I share another fun story about the book?
Oh, please.
How it came about. A couple years after my mom died, I'm running businesses. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm busy. And I'm having a healing done by my mentor and teacher. And I'm laying on this table. I got a blankie on. All my deceased loved ones' spirits are on either side of the table. Even my late dog, Katie, is on her back legs. Her little paws are up on the table, and she's participating in the healing. They all do. So one day, Maria, this spirit of this dead Pope shows up. He's got his Pope hat on. He's got his shepherd's rod. And I said to him, and my mentor, Susan, could see him too. And I said, well, who are you? And he said, I'm Clement. And I said, I'm so sorry. I've never heard of a Pope Clement. And he said, well, I was number 6. He was laughing. And I said, great. How may I help you? And he said, you're supposed to teach the world what happens when somebody dies. Because it's been so bastardized over the millennia. Everybody's afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. Everybody goes to heaven. And you know that. And you just need to get on with it. Teach the world. And I laughed and I said, thanks so much for stopping by, but I'm a businesswoman. I'm not interested. People are going to think I'm nuts. And he's like, yeah, whatever you've done in your life and your career has prepared you for this. So just get on with it. He treats me like a Nike ad. Just do it.
Uh-huh.
And I said, well, again, I'm really not interested, but thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. So a few minutes later, I get in my car to drive home. Just for kicks, I looked up on my phone, Pope Clement VI. Well, come to find out, this guy was in office during the Black Plague.
Oh.
He's best known for his prayers for the dying and his prayers for the dead.
Whoa.
And I thought, oh, Ryan, you can't make that up.
No.
Yeah. So fast forward, I'm thinking, yeah. So I wrote like an outline a little bit. 2 years go by. I'm sitting in church between my husband and my son. The priest from the altar during his sermon says, wouldn't it be nice if somebody could tell us if the angels and our loved ones really greet us and lead us into paradise? So I'm getting elbowed between my husband and my son. And I'm thinking, really, God? From the pulpit, you're giving me grief about this?
Yep.
So I said, all right. Wrote the book. We put up AskJulieRyan.com. And I thought, I'm going to get pummeled by somebody. I don't want this to affect my regular businesses.
Yeah.
So we put up AskJulieRyan.com. About a month later, I'm giving a lecture at this business conference. It's all C-suite executives, primarily men. And I'm talking about a business topic. Great. I finished my talk, Maria. And this guy comes up to me. He's got his iPad open to AskJulieRyan.com.
Oh.
He goes, is this you? And I wanted to say, well, yeah, that's my picture. And I said, well, yes, it is. And I'm thinking, oh, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I'm interested in learning more. Can we sit together at lunch?
Wow.
And I thought, and I'm smiling, and I said, "Sure, I'd love that." And inside, I'm thinking, "I'm just gonna get hammered for
Oh,
an hour about
John.
from this guy." So, we sit together at lunch, I'll always remember this, table of 8, 7 male executives, C-suite executives,
Wow.
and me, and all they wanted to talk about was woo-woo. They didn't
That
wanna
is
talk about
amazing.
the conference, what my talk was, no business stuff. It was all about woo-woo.
That's
And
amazing.
I said, "Okay, God, I'm in." Full,
Yes.
both feet full in. And so those were my signs to really jump into this woo-woo space.
You can't deny those signs.
No.
It's so obvious. Okay, I have questions,
Yes, ma'am.
Julie, that I'm gonna ask you, but ask Julie Ryan. Okay, what happens when folks are in accidents? It's very fast. Same phases?
Great question. Time doesn't exist in the spirit world, time's a human creation. Everybody goes through the 12 phases regardless of how they die. If they die instantly, like in the case of a homicide or suicide or a car accident,
Mhm.
or if they die over a prolonged period of time, days, weeks, months, even years. Everybody goes through the 12 phases of transition.
Okay. I love that answer. Time does not exist.
Well, and it gives families so much comfort. Think of Gold Star families who've lost a
Yes.
loved one, in military service, somebody who dies in a car accident. During COVID, this was really comforting for people who
Mhm.
couldn't be with their loved ones in the hospital or they couldn't be with them in their homes. There
Mhm.
were some severe lockdowns around the world, and I've gotten so many emails from people over the years that have said, "You saved my sanity with that book,"
Yeah.
when somebody living in Australia, they couldn't even go on the balcony of their apartment,
Yeah.
let alone go be with their loved one who was at the end of their lives. So to know that they were surrounded by their deceased loved ones and pets and angels just gives them so much comfort.
Oh my gosh, no
Nobody
kidding.
ever dies alone, ever.
I
Ever,
love
ever,
that.
ever. Yeah.
I love that. It's actually one of the things that my stepdad passed away last year, coming up on a year, and my mom did not want to be there, for
No.
his passing, and so, of course, none of us were, then we respected that, and the whole time I'm thinking that he's not alone anyway.
Yeah.
He's just not alone anyway, and I don't experience and I haven't witnessed what you have, but I can feel it. So and I that's actually another question. So I identify as a medium, and so I can sense these things. What about folks who don't identify as that? And we had talked about the belief that everybody this is a skill that you can develop. But what about
Mhm.
folks who don't identify this way and also don't trust? Like you said, ask what phase my loved one is in, you'll get a number. How do they trust it? What's your suggestion around trusting what they get?
There's a great book about the university-based research about being surrounded by loved ones and the spirits of deceased loved ones and pets, and it's called Death is But a Dream, and it's by an MD, PhD named Chris Kerr, Kerr. So, if they don't trust it, read the university-based research that shows that this is a real thing, and he and I laugh, I say we're yin and yang,
Yeah.
I'm the woo-woo, he's the medical, and I've done university-based research for my surgical devices. That's a big deal to get
Yes.
approved for a clinical study.
Big deal.
It's a really big deal. And I interviewed him on my Ask Julie Ryan show one time. I said, "How'd you get this through the institutional review board, they call it the IRB, and that's who approves studies to be conducted, and I've done
Yeah.
them at big university medical centers for my inventions, and I said to him, I said, "How'd you get through the IRB?" And he said, "I've never had anybody ask me that before." He said it was a little tough,
Yeah.
but then once they approved it and they saw the studies, he's conducting more
Yeah.
studies now, so for those who think that this doesn't really happen, that's fine. Read the university-based research that says that
Yeah.
it does.
This is where
90% of people
yeah,
see
this
spirits.
is where science meets spirit. But I do
Right.
wonder, let's just say they believe this is the thing,
Yeah,
but they're trying to tap into their loved one who's crossing over and, wanting to know what phase they're in. How
yeah.
do they trust what comes through? immediately, because they might
Our
be hear 6 and be like, "But I don't know, is that are they actually in 6? I don't know. I don't trust that.
yeah.
Am I just making things up?"
Our heads are big satellite dishes. They receive and transmit frequencies. Every spirit has a frequency they keep throughout all of their lifetimes. Every thought has a frequency. When somebody's saying, "What phase is grandma in?" their satellite dish, think of AI, attention, intention.
Mhm.
New meaning for the acronym or for the
Yes.
whatever they call it. Acronym, I think is what they call it. So, attention, intention. Your attention is what phase is grandma in? When you do that, your satellite dish head tunes to that frequency of that information, opens up a two-way radio communication. That first thing that comes in your head as fast as you can snap your fingers. What phase is grandma in? 6. That's it. You think about it for more than a couple of seconds, it's gonna be your brain talking to you. The
Yes.
more you do this, the more practice you get, the more validation you get, the more validation you get, you just learn to trust it over time. It's like you can throw a football, but to trust that you're gonna throw a football and make a touchdown is gonna require that you throw the football a lot of times to be
Yes.
really accurate, and it's developing those neural pathways in the brain. The other way that I recommend people communicate with spirit is to if you have a question for a loved one, perhaps, or a spirit guide or God or the universe or whoever you wanna talk to, it doesn't matter whether you knew them or not. All spirits, you just think of them. Wanna talk to Moses, Elvis, your dead grandma, doesn't matter. You just think of them. That tunes your satellite dish head to them, and then you can communicate. At the beginning, especially if somebody's in grief, I'll recommend that they ask a question before they go to bed at night because our vibrational level resets every night to the factory preset frequency of joy and spirit communication. And when we're feeling badly, we're on the I feel crappy channels. So we're not on the high vibe spirit channel. So ask a question before you go to sleep and you'll get an answer
Mhm.
from spirit because what you're doing is once you're reset in your sleep, you're on that channel you can receive. If you're on the I feel crappy channel, spirit doesn't communicate on the I feel crappy channel. The vibration's too low. And when people say, well, how do I know that the factory preset is of love and joy and happiness and all the good feeling stuff? And my response to that, Maria, is look at a baby. Babies are
Mhm.
happy unless they're hungry or they're tired or they need to be changed or they have pain.
Mhm.
That's our natural state is
Mhm.
joy and love and happiness.
Peace.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that way of thinking about it, factory reset. I'm so gonna steal that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I talk about the astral travel, astral plane a lot, right? Like
Yeah,
that's what we do when we're
right.
asleep, even though sometimes we
Right.
don't remember. But yeah, that I love also the idea of okay, if you're going to throw a football and try to get a touchdown, you have to do it a few times, like more than a
Yeah.
few times. Just practice, practice, practice. Yeah.
Well, and what we're doing is we're laying new neural pathways in the brain.
Yeah.
I along that line, I had Dr. Daniel Amen on the show, on my
Uh-huh.
Ask Julie Ryan show, because I wanted him to scan my brain
Uh-huh.
and see if there were some neural pathways that, lit up with me when I was doing woo-woo versus somebody
Yes.
that doesn't do woo-woo. And so we did do a brain scan with
Ooh,
contrast,
that's
and he
cool.
talks about it on the show, and he calls it the God spot.
Oh, yes, I've heard that before.
Yeah,
Yes.
and he said he I think he said something like, "Yours is very busy." He said, "Yes, you've developed it." But like I said, I didn't know anything about this until, I was in my mid-30s,
Yeah.
and somebody gave me a book
Mhm.
about it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's so useful too, right? Like when my stepdad passed away, it's interesting, there isn't that fear for me, right? Because I have this sense of what happens. And it's still sad to not have somebody present in a body. And he told me he was ready to go before he left the body, and we had an argument. Like,
Oh,
"No, no, you can't go, no." And he's like, "Maria, it's time. I need to go."
yeah, yeah.
Like, No. But
Well, you
there's
bring up a really good point too, and
Mhm.
the fact that you guys weren't with him and,
Yeah.
maybe some people felt some, distress about that. We all decide when we go, where we go, how we go, and who's with us or not when we go.
Ooh,
We think we make that decision. The loved one
ah,
who's dying makes that
that
decision.
makes perfect sense.
And if you think about it that way, in every critical care practitioner, every funeral home director has millions of stories about, yeah, my dad waited until his brother arrived. His plane was late and he kept hanging on. I had one client who's a critical care ICU nurse, and she told me that one time she had a patient and he flatlined, he died.
Mm.
And she yelled at him and she shook him and she said, "No, your brother's on the way here from the airport. You have to hold on. You have to wait till your brother comes to say goodbye." And the monitors lit back up.
Oh gosh,
His
yes.
heart started beating again. The brother got there and he died like an hour later with the brother being
You
there.
know,
And those
that's
stories are endless.
yep, I have one like that too. I happen to be in Southern California. I'm in Oregon now. I was in California when my stepdad was in the hospital, and I told him from afar, "Please do not go until I get there. I'm on my way home." And as soon as I got there, literally physically in the hospital room, he pulled his oxygen out. He was unconscious, but he pulled it out. Like, "I don't want this to support me anymore. I'm ready to go." It's
Oh,
fascinating.
yeah.
I have one more question for you
Yeah.
around pets.
Yeah.
I'm curious about where this falls in the phases, right? Because when I lost my beloved 17, almost 18-year-old mini dachshund, Dexter. We called him Monkey. I lost him in June, or he left in June, but didn't leave. But we were at the vet, and I was holding him, and I felt my other dog, who had passed away years ago, come in the room. I knew he was right there, and, Dexter started sniffing like he was sniffing the air where I thought my other dog was. Now, they were not related biologically, this wasn't his biological mother or anything, but so is it the same thing with pets? Like, how do you feel that happening, or how can you tell what phase they're in?
Well, you were just telling me that I got full body chills, which is validation that
Yay!
you were right on target with that. It's been my experience, Maria, that pet spirits exit through the top of their head like the spirit bubble with humans,
Yeah.
and that's where it ends. I can always tell if a pet is at the end of their lives or any animal because I can see the spirit at the top of their head. I don't see them surrounded by their litter mates or, or
Okay.
their
Right.
bloodline or anything like that. Your dog's spirit when you were euthanizing Dexter, your dog's spirit came in to support you. Your
Mhm.
dog's spirit was there to bring you comfort.
Bailey. Yeah.
Bailey, number
Mhm.
1, and number
Okay.
2, you bring up a really good point, which is animals can detect spirits.
Mhm.
Have you ever had an animal that you're in the room and then you're by yourself and the animal's head's, like, going from one side to the other, like they're watching somebody cross the room? They
100%.
can they can see, they can perceive, they can feel spirits. Sometimes it spooks, speaking of spooky things,
Mhm.
it will spook the animal. My daughter-in-law's mom has 2 cats, and when spirits are in the room, those cats will just go nuts, and they'll go flying out of the room, and she'll know there's spirits there, and she'll be calling me or texting me going, "Okay, who's here?"
Yeah.
And so we'll figure that out.
Mhm.
But then most animals aren't bothered by it because it's second nature to them. They see it all the time,
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose my animals aren't bothered anymore. It's like everybody's coming through here. They're
right?
like, "Okay, another soul."
Yeah,
How
yeah.
that's actually one more question around that. When folks notice that their animals are, kind of freaking out or spooked or noticing something happening in the room, and they don't have a Julie Ryan to call on the phone. "Oh, who's here?" What do they do? What can they do?
Heads a satellite dish, just ask, "Who's here?"
Perfect.
First thing that comes in your head. We're doing it all the time now. We just don't realize it. We've all experienced thinking of somebody and then they call us or they send us a text or an email or we run into them and we say, "Oh my gosh, I was just thinking of you and here you are." What
Yeah.
a coincidence. No
No, it's
coincidence
not.
there. That's your intuition. Furthermore, we've all comforted children and pets. A little kid falls down and skins his knee and you hold him on your lap and you kiss the boo-boo and you say, "Honey, you're going to be fine." And 2 minutes later, they're up running around again. What have you done? You've just done an energetic healing.
Totally. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
totally.
So we're all doing it. We all get gut feelings about things. And when we don't follow those gut feelings most of the time, because we're coming from a place of logic and it's the exact opposite of what our gut's telling us,
Mhm.
a lot of the time we regret it.
Yeah.
Our gut intuition is the best gauge that we have to help make decisions. If you're struggling over, should I do this? Should I do that? First of all, there are no shoulds. So what I recommend is you say, is it in my best interest to
Oh, I love that.
dot, dot, dot? Is it in Maria's best interest to dot, dot, dot? Finish the sentence. It's the first thing comes in your head. Boom.
Mhm. Mhm.
You're already
Yeah.
doing it. Just pay attention to it.
I love it. Fantastic. Julie, thank you so much. I really appreciate
Oh,
you.
my honor.
You're
Thank you for
awesome.
having me. Right back
Absolutely.
at you, babe.
How about 5 more, interviews? Because there's
That
so
would be
much to
great.
talk about.
I would love that. Yeah, anytime.
Amazing. Thanks so much for being here today. I appreciate you.
Oh, you're most welcome.
Thank you for joining the Reluctant Medium podcast today. I hope that this episode has brought you beautiful, high vibration and that it continues emanating from your heart space for the rest of the day and beyond. Don't forget to join the Reluctant Medium on patreon.com, and you can also visit thereluctantmedium.us and the Reluctant Medium TV show on newrealitytv.com. Until next time, my friend, may you be well.